Sir Watkins sat next to me on church Sunday.
Did he?
I said, sir, I said, I tell you, I do something this week, and that's what I do. I watched the White Sox game all the way through.
That's something that us White Sox fans even are doing now. Did it again. Sunday I watched. I don't know how many times I watched. And it was open.
Hope you guys have that good.
That was 10 yesterday.
We'll try to do that.
Only watch, you know, turn it on and then move.
End it on YouTube first. Let's see, the end stream, go to YouTube live, the upper right hand corner, click on the stream, and click on the end.
Who you with?
Yesterday, Eugene. And then you go to the Eastern software.
Yeah.
He was with Amy the
Turn it off.
That's correct.
What I gotta do? You can't get it shut off the end, call me, I'll come over. I'll remember real quick when you should stream live. Go from there, okay?
Alright, Bubba.
See ya. Have a good meeting, y'all.
Thank you very much.
Huh? Yeah, we're on turn.
Hey, did you give the old man the hat?
I did, I told him I had it, I didn't give it to him yet. I didn't have, I hung it up in a place of honor at my house, I wouldn't lose it, some kind of hat. Found a Jones for county council hat.
Oh, right.
I don't think Dad's been on the county council for about 15 years, so it's gotta be an old one. It didn't even have guns on it, Jerry must have stored away somewhere.
Cleaning out the closet.
There you go. Have fun, guys.
Nice. We'll see you. Thanks, man.
You bet.
Oh, okay. Usually the first thing I say when I walk in.
Yeah, you do, man. Right.
Hello. I just can't find your message that you sent me.
Well, his family just got back from Alaska. They're now home.
I sent them your message about him being gone, and they said we will contact him when he returns, so hopefully we will do that soon. Oh, yeah?
Not exactly tiny, but
Oh, I guess so.
yeah.
How tall is he?
He's at the 6'5" range.
Okay.
Smile.
Try to. This bright shirt will show up nice in the picture tonight.
gone out of town all week. Wonderful.
Okay. Full house, huh?
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
You guys know what you're talking about.
You see
Apparently the rest of us know.
The movie, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Todd drove Taylor back Saturday. In home already.
Oh, you can sleep there. Oh, he has a race to go to.
That is it, that's all he thinks of. Eldora.
Yeah. I heard about the race, but that was nice, because they had a nice. Back and down, so that's good.
That was cute at the fair. With her bringing out the grandbaby.
Charlie.
She's an active little gal. Where does she live? Where do they live?
Oklahoma,
Oklahoma.
12 hours.
Long drive.
She don't think nothing about it, she throws the baby in the car, and away she goes.
Off they go.
That baby. What is that, dirty dancing?
Oh, but he didn't want to.
Good evening, Brad. How you doing? Excellent. Oh, no, you got her. All right, cold there. I don't heat better than a cold, that's for sure. I don't care. Either one. Put more clothes on you. Yes, or take them off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they were in the.
I feel like that's better when it's cold than it is when it's hot. I don't know. I like both, so that's why I live here.
I like the ones that are not too cold.
Good point there.
I watched the floods and think of all the raft trees like down on that river when my son was on the station. Really, it's pressure to watch
Yeah, I bet.
for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And then today I turned it on and saw that they were expecting more flooding in Junction. Not that far, I was San Antonio.
Doing okay. We're doing some heart stuff, so Wednesday she has a procedure done, and then
Wrap my
we're
head
gonna
around
have to
how
do
fast
a
I can
valve
ride that quick.
replacement.
We don't experience that around here, so you don't know.
You know, lots of tests.
Right, I know, but we don't experience that around. I mean, yeah, Hickory River gets high, don't get me wrong, but not like that.
Most streets.
You know what I'm saying, where it's literally, I mean,
Oh,
I got a
yeah.
Girl Scout camp or whatever it was, but, you know.
Those areas, Brad, they don't have big bridges, from, Austin
wet, you'll be driving out there, take so much, and they check it. County road, they'll go down to the flood stage. One time, John parking.
Sometimes they have
Yeah. I mean, it's
They'll tell you how
10
they
foot,
get
you know,
there, they'll drive into that.
and 5 or 6. You just go down, you drive through a cabin and look.
Oh, my.
Well, we would put a bridge, right, dry, a lot of times, I mean, just the heavy rains, man, it comes washing through there. Correct.
Not much topsoil.
I don't think so.
So, very skim coated topsoil,
Sure.
a lot of rock.
Station what, in San Antonio? Like, when you were in the army, you were stationed in what, San Antonio?
No, right outside of Dallas.
I don't know.
I got there after one.
30, okay.
All right, 7:30, folks. Call a meeting to order. Welcome all. Welcome, London. Welcome all. Roll call, please. Come on in, Alan.
Mike Surplus.
Here.
Christina Archer.
Here.
The treasurer is here. Tom Moore.
I'm here.
Nick Jacobs.
Is absent.
And Craig Charlton, president. Mr. President, all are accounted for except our attorney, Nick Jacobs.
Next, pledge of allegiance. Stand, if you will, please, pass it through. Christine, will you lead us?
Yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our agenda, if you, with your indulgence, after a financial reports and claims docket, is pencil in NACOG. They have another meeting to attend and would like to address us for that. So if you would pencil that in. Yeah. Motion to approve the amended agenda.
I move that we accept our agenda as amended.
Motion that made the second to accept the amended agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of our June 9th, 2025 minutes.
Had a chance to go over those, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been made and a second. To approve our minutes from the June 9th meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Financial reports. Claims docket, account balances.
Had a chance to review those and, it was kind of a expensive month. But everything seems in order and I make a motion to approve as presented.
I will second the motion.
Motion, yes, it's been a very, very expensive month. Motion has been made and a second received to approve the financial report, claims docket, and account balances. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now, sir, we have you from NACOG.
Good.
You have the floor.
Great. Did you want to start any context there? I can just jump right in.
You can just
Jump
jump right in.
Okay. So, I'm usually here with Amy, as you all know, with the county, Amy Rowe. And so just kind of talk a little bit of an update on the 4A funds, the orthopedic funds that are coming into the county. There is for the community amenities program that is available for the town to apply for. In previous conversations, we've talked a little bit about kind of project opportunities the town might have. The project, as I understand, kind of right to the top of what you might be most interested in, another phase of the sidewalk project in town, and then linking it across the railroad track to a trail that connects over to the school as a kind of a ambitious big project that you might be looking for funding. That might be a good option. So today I also have with me Chad. He'll talk a little bit about some of the engineering there in a minute, but about what opportunities will be there. But what I want to just to review with you is just a little bit more about that funding from the state, and as well as how can you as a town match that funding and where those things come from. So make sure you first understand that before we get into this project too far. And so the CAP funding is, again, from the state to the county. This civic program is available to all the small towns throughout the county, and it's meant to foster some community amenities that helps attract or retain the orthopedic industry and their employees, that business here in our county. And so the project, the funding is up to $500,000, and that's a one-to-one match. So you would need to provide as much as they get, so up to $500,000 for that project. And so that funding can be matched with a lot of different items. They encourage also local donations. They encourage partnering with businesses, also community foundations or other philanthropic organizations. You can also, though, use state or other grant funds to match with their funding. So one potential option that you have is to use the state's Indiana Trails program, and this is through the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, the IDNR, and this is their community trails program to help communities develop trails and walkways in the community. It's right now it's once every 2-year program, so it is opening this fall, and that program is applications up to $400,000 of grant funds from the state. Normally, you would have a minimum match of 20% of that, but in this case, I would encourage towns to consider the matching with at least the $400,000 from the CAP funding, so that way you can maximize both funding resources. So up to $800,000. Obviously, if the town is able to put in more money from, again, local partners, businesses, etc., you can go up to the $500,000 from the CAP funding. And so the goal of this project would be to help to pay for that construction of the sidewalk trails on there. The grant application for that is coming quickly, and so that's kind of why I wanted to make sure I got to you guys today. The application opens up in September and is due October 1st. So before we can apply, we have to have a meeting with the state to make sure that they are aware of our application. So that happens at some point in August, ideally for that. And so the way that funding application would work is it would be put in the application. We'd have to have some basic information identified, which is a map showing where you want the project, some preliminary estimates, cost estimates of what that would cost you. We'd also have to identify those local funding sources, which again we could use the CAP funding for that. And we'd also have an idea of what the right of way or impacts there might be. Guessing it may be some, may not be some, depending on where that trail or those sidewalks are as well. So we need to have some sort of estimate of that. Those are the big things. There's several other things that I would be including in a narrative and we'll be doing. Now this is kind of the main items that would need to be discussed and figured out for sure ahead of time. And so that would definitely need Chad as an engineer to kind of help us get that information, because that's beyond my skills and abilities to get all that information for you. So that's why I brought him here to kind of talk us through what that part might look like, with the goal of getting applying for that state funding to be able to use this local this opportunity for this more local funding to help out with these trails. So I am going to turn things over to Chad, but I welcome any questions on that portion here, and then we can hear a little more. So.
All right. Thank you.
Actually, I'm Chad Salzberg, Leesburg Van Brink, and we're a consulting firm. Do a lot of different type of work for a lot of different type of municipalities, private companies as well. We do a lot of work with trails, sidewalks. Just helped town of Pearson with the sidewalks, which is how I kind of got connected with Amy. And I think Amy had reached out and suggested it might be good for Zach and I to come here tonight and say how we might be able to help out. And like Zach said, I think the first thing to do would maybe to meet with, maybe outside this meeting, but meet with someone from the town to discuss where exactly you'd like to run the sidewalk and trails, where you want to connect to. Maybe some options that you've looked at in the past that maybe end up not being viable. And then we could put some costs together as far as an estimate on construction costs, design costs, those type of things. So it might be good to have another follow-up meeting with maybe somebody from the town. Whether that's somebody from the council or street superintendent, whoever you think might be appropriate to meet with and get some of those answers and help us do a better job of understanding what all you're trying to accomplish.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. Until you have details, at least a few of the details, kind of hard to guess at what may or may not happen. Okay. Christine, I'm going to turn and look towards you because you've kind of been our lead person.
Well, part of it is, originally we discussed the possibility of extending and doing sidewalks that would end up at the school, but we had a lot of questions about whether it was going to be a feasible thing to do because just of the layout of everything, the problems with the railroad tracks being there and being able to get access, even if we did, whether that was really going to be a workable situation. As an alternate, we talked about the possibility of having a sidewalk project that had its destination over at our ballpark fields because that area is used for so much of the recreation in this town and so many people use it. We hate having kids especially walking along the road over on School Street. So that was the other possibility. So there's not just one and one only possibility. It was my understanding that for the type of grant program that we're looking at, it can't just be like residential sidewalks to complete Prairie Street. And it does have to have some type of a, quote, destination. So I'm hoping that if one possibility won't work, maybe the other one would, depending on, like I say, cost and funds that we would have available to us to work on a project like this. And of course, I discussed with you guys as well as Amy about how Leesburg, like other towns, has a real question as to what our funding will look like. We've tried to make some preliminary planning for our budget for the next year, but there are a lot of unknowns. So, like I say, we would be happy to meet with you at least, and I want to try and remain as optimistic as we can on this. It's kind of hard in the economic times we're in, but like I say, I think we need to explore the possibilities that are there to see what we can do to help our community.
Would you be willing to meet?
Absolutely.
With Chad?
Mm-hmm. So,
do you think you want to be involved with that? Probably. Street Commissioner. Oh. I think that's an excellent step.
I know Amy will be here later to talk more about her end of things, but I think the sooner we meet, because I know we have these deadlines coming up, and it's going to be fast. So
yeah,
we'll try to get together as soon as we can. Is the best thing for us to do to set a time now, or do you want me to call you back with one of your numbers here?
I can reach out to you tomorrow.
Okay.
And see what works out well for the two of you, for me to come over here and meet with you, and we can look at what you're trying to accomplish and see what the best way is to accomplish those things.
Well, that's what we'll do.
Maybe able to guide us better with that path in the school. Whether which side, and have a little bit more clarity on what we could actually do with the railroad tracks there and right away even on the other side. So that's something David probably be better at.
Yeah, and just to do some due diligence up front, a lot of times we'll look at something called it's kind of like a preliminary line investigation, where we have information on where maybe there was an underground storage tank at some time. So what we may say, well, it might be smarter to have it on this side of the street, just so we can avoid potentially running into contaminated soils, or if there's a historic property there that we wanna, that we may wanna avoid from an environmental document standpoint.
Okay. Sounds
Great.
Yep, so as said, Amy said we'll be back a little later and talk more about the CAP funding and some of that, but I do have to run to do a public hearing over at Milford, so we're on the grant, so I appreciate the time though, so.
Thank you very much
Thank you
for
for your
coming.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Chad, thank you for your time. also.
Yeah, I can stick around and.
Treat yourself. You're welcome.
Here, or
Welcome to stay as long as we don't bore you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, street commissioners report.
From the Brett, equipment status, all time equipment is down working order. Repairs, electrical short in the outdoor ground box out here in the corner of the yard. We've had watering lines kind of cleared this last late winter. Come to find out there was some connections made down into pipe and they were full of water, so corrosion. That's what took out a stoplight on that side. Street light up in front of the town hall and the two on the north side. Was able to took the electrical box out, put more drains in it, pulled wires through so all the connections are going to be above grade so that we're not lying in water. That part was pretty simple. So our stoplights function again, this street lights function again, the light on the flag is also functioning. The two lights on the north side of the sidewalk of the street, those are bigger issues. There was a line torn when we were doing the egress off the street into the sidewalk. Repair was made. Two of the three wires are pulled or broke. Don't have continuity. So, options are to go in, have a general idea where the split was and where the repair was made when they were doing that project. I'm going to try to run through and see if I can get a fish line through it. It's full of cement on one end, so I'll try to clear that out and see if we can get through it. If that's the case, I'm full of wires. Not that big a deal. Worst case scenario, we may have to cut a section out, accessing where the splice was done. It is in conduit, but again, it's going to hold water. So it's probably in that area, and it is broke, so we don't have conduit. Two of the three. So that's just proven that that's the case. I believe we can get through it. It's just under what's the most effective way of doing it. So that's kind of what we'll get that finished up, the lights back on that side of it. It was just intermittent, but we did raise the drainage box, put more drainage in, so water's not even standing there. So that has been corrected. We did have a full blow down back on Plum Street at the intersection of Pearl and Plum, and I went in here a couple weeks ago. The last time this guy fixed it took him about 9 months, so let's hope this one's not as long. Going on with that, but just go ahead and work orders been put in, so we're in good shape with that. Parking ordinance violations. One parking warning, no issues in the last month, no violations for parking between the hours of 2 and 5. There were 7 ordinance violations that were issued at the request of the town board. All were violations of 92.02.3, the refuge ordinance. Each had a $25 fine along with that. No progress on the tree limb at 206 East Van Buren Street. It come down, hanging a couple months ago. I did leave a note at the door initially. No progress, so I did send them a formal letter from the town that it is their responsibility and it is impeding traffic on public right of way, the sidewalk. So we'll have to take it up and see if something's done from there. Which I did include that if the town does it, it will be billed to them and they'll pay some of that. So they're going to have options. But it is blocking the street and it's dangerous. So, but again, in that information, it's their responsibility, not that. projects, paving the streets, curbs down on, going on to 15 on both streets. I sprayed it off, tilled the grass off. I just need to go in and spray the dirt so we get clean up, get good painting fishing on. Town cleanup, we had 4 roll-offs of waste and refuse that was hauled off. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of stuff that was in town moved, but you know what? Unfortunately, there were a lot of tires in it, which is a violation of that. Quite a few small air conditioners were in there. So, and it was a lot of people from not in town. Not that I watched it 24/7. We did have it from 7 to 7. That was not a week where it was not followed. We had them in there all the time of night. I think we're just becoming a cleaning ground for this end of town. So I think it's something we should consider in the future, whether it's benefiting our people in town or everybody in this area. Just something to think about going forward. Public information, residents or the backyard waste, tree limbs, small tree limbs, things like that, and the trash out, large storm damage that come down a storm and time will help you with that. But smaller stuff goes in your trash can. Sidewalks and trees are the property and responsibility of the residents. We do have an ordinance about keeping the sidewalks clear from obstruction. That includes snow. So as we move into those months, we'll let people know that they need to shovel their walks. That is an ordinance.
Interesting. The town cleanup day, it appears that trend has continued, because we've been doing it for a number of years, and each year we seem to find more stuff that did not originate within the town or the confines of the town. We may want to consider next year sidewalk pickup. More work for us or somebody.
Well, and we have hours. We had it posted 7 to 7, simply so we're not disrupting the residents down there at all hours of the night. I know it's I come in early, so I see what goes on before 4 o'clock in the morning. People don't have. They shouldn't have to listen to that all night long. I know it's just for a couple of days, but people are there for reasons to get rid of refuse that they don't want to pay you for that. I'm glad it's not going on county roads, but at some point we'll go, what's a better option?
Okay. Any other questions for Greg?
Not for me.
Thank you, sir.
I always appreciate the flags being up for the holidays like 4th of July and Memorial Day and everything. And I know we can't leave them up all the time, but I appreciate your efforts because it looks nice for our town.
It means a lot to me personally. We have to take pride in what we're doing, who we're doing it for.
Yes. So thank you.
Sanitary sewer report. The new Barnes pumps and controls have been installed at the school. Refresh your memory, the reason for doing this is to get rid of a certain component part in the E1 pumps that seem they don't stand up well to all the pieces of pencils and debris that's coming out of the school building. And the E1 pumps the Barnes pumps don't have that particular device, and they have actually a 3-stage grinder system that's all made out of brass and other metals. And hopefully we'll find it to be much more durable than 2 pumps a year. Actually 4 pumps a year, 2 change-outs a year. And a couple more original check valves to refresh memory. From the grinder pump, the discharge line from out of the grinder pump going up to the main wherever that main happens to be. In my case, it's running along Devon Street, or Ivana Street, and where that connection, you have to have a check valve to prevent the pressure from within the main from flowing back into the grinder pump. That pit, there is a check valve inherent in the E1 pumps. This is actually a secondary check valve, but it's mandatory that it be there, just because. And when the original equipment was all non-metallic check valves, and our service contractor refuses to use those, they use stainless steel. So what's been replaced is with stainless steel. And also the service contractor, Asbury, so they have it on hand rather than having to go someplace and get it when needed. They have several bags of soil and grass seed that's on storage over here in our old fire station, so that they're responsible for reestablishing that excavation to something like it looked before they started. So it's there. And other than that, I don't really have any, other than to recap a few things. The required electrical changes at the main pumping station have been made. Obviously, you know that the filter system is installed. You're not smelling the aroma as you drive by any longer. And so, if you have any questions, fire away. Any questions for me?
No.
I think so. I'm just glad to see this work getting done, and I'm sure everybody appreciates that we don't have these foul smells down there, so.
Move on to old business, ordinance violations, moving forward.
As Craig stated in his report, he had issued 7 violations. Of the refuse ordinance, dropped off $25 or mailed $25 fine to each of the property owners. I have talked to several. One has had significant cleanup. The other one's had questions on exactly what it was that we was looking at, and had some suggestions as to maybe we ought to make it more clear when we let them in on the letter of exactly what we're talking about on their property that needs to be taken care of. We just give them a copy of the ordinance, and I agree, some of that would.
Oh, okay, so
if you have a pile of wood, or if you have
things that
weeds are too high, so that, well, what's going on is it goes to the attorney, and then the attorney sends it to us, and then I have talked to several, and really just trying to explain what exactly we're talking about. So
our first letter to them needs to be more specific.
I believe that it should, yeah, and then that lets them know exactly what we're talking about, and then we're not wasting time going back and forth trying to figure out.
Makes sense.
What it is. And I don't have a problem with, since I've been tracking what we're doing here, putting something together that has the town letterhead on it, and specifically what we're looking at when we hand that out. So anyway, I don't know if any of the fines have been paid. They have. Okay.
2.
So from there, we just move on to monitor the progress, and certainly field questions on what they have questions on, and
well, that's, I guess, as typical. That's progress, and maybe slower than we like, or faster than some people like. But that's making a step forward to get rid of the stuff in town.
Well, and sometimes it seems kind of harsh that, you know, here it comes from the attorney and here's the fine and everything, that, as I've explained to a couple of them, us, by verbally asking or something, it doesn't go any farther. We sent certified letters and they refuse them or they go back. Some pick up their letters and do, you know, their due diligence on what they're doing, but, you know, the reason is we have to go that way is because there has to be some teeth behind it and somebody has to.
That's correct. And it isn't like, in most cases, it isn't like they haven't had some form of notification, either verbally or just, hey,
I understand. But
even from maybe their neighbors. So.
But I think as we go into these going forward and we make sure we document and put in something to them that they know exactly what we need moved or what we want to accomplish is a major step forward to help get it eliminated a lot quicker.
Well, we can do that. I would also like for you to add 312 East Prairie Street to your sheet so that even though that's a sewer related issue, but that way I don't forget.
Well, what I've done, and I sent it to you and Christina and Mike and Craig today, I made tabs at the bottom. One's going to be the refuse, one's going to be abandoned vehicles, the other one is sewer. So that we can keep them separate, I can make my notes of who I talked to and what went on.
Thank you.
It'll just be easier for everybody if it's separated out.
Okay. Any questions from Mitch? You have a question, Brad?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Suggestion, first letter you sent me, dates don't jive. I don't know. I'm waiting on him to call me back. I've been over a week and a half now. I made sure the reception knew my name, my number, why I was calling. I'd like for him to call me. He still hasn't done it. I got a hold of him within a day or so. I was on the road, couldn't recall. Got back with him. Not a big deal. All I need to know is what it was, but I can tell you the first letter, somebody needs to proofread it. It had different dates, said this date, I can go back and get it, I can have it to you tomorrow. I still have it, I just don't have it with me tonight. I have the second letter. So my suggestion is when the attorney sends out a letter, because that's who it's from, my suggestion is as a person that lives in a town, the attorney should call you back if you call them and leave a message. And two, somebody needs to proofread the letter before they send it out so it all makes sense. Because when you have two different dates, which one do you go by? You know, so that's the biggest thing I can suggest as being a resident of the town. And then Mitch and I talked, as I'll just do say, I did something different because I thought that's what you were talking about. And if I would have known what he said, I would have taken care of that in the beginning. So yes, you covered everything, but I think a lot of people, if you just say, hey, can you do this? They would, not everybody, because we know that, but most people probably would be like, oh, okay. And you're still going to have the few that don't. But I would say probably 85% of your people would probably be respectful and say, oh, not a problem. Give me 30 days. And when is the 30 days up? You know what I'm saying? I'll take care of it. And if not, then you have to do your next letter. Okay. So those are my suggestions to you.
Well, thanks for your comments, because
I'm not here to argue about whether I have something there that you don't, but I can also take you outside. Right now, we can walk down the streets and I can show you things that are in that letter that they didn't get one. You know, I walk the streets, my wife walks the streets, I talk to my neighbors, I help my neighbors. Gossip is gossip, word of mouth is word of mouth. So you know the ones that are doing this, the ones that are doing that, you know. People talk in this town. It's a small town. That's what you should.
You can't find everything on the same day.
No, you can't. But I'm just telling you that the more you get out, the more you talk, and the more you get involved with the people outside of here. People are scared to come in here. They don't want a target on their back. Because they look at it, if I ask you something that makes you disgruntled, Tom, now I'm going to leave here going, oh great, is Tom going to freaking send me a letter for something else I don't know about? It's opinion, but I'm telling you, we have the problem just like you say, well, we need to get more people to come into these meetings. Warsaw has the same problem. Milford has the same problem.
They don't have 60 people showing up to their meetings. They have it like this.
Understand, yeah.
So we need to, as a community, think outside the box and try to get these people involved. And the only way we're gonna do that is to go out and communicate and try to walk the streets and just be nice and, hey, I'm so-and-so. I have a brand new neighbor, walked down, came up, they're walking out, I said, hi, hey, I'm so-and-so, we just moved in, we just wanna meet new neighbors. I about fell over. I'm like, how many times do you get that? You don't get that very, it was, now I have a neighbor that I have a lot of respect for. He's like, I'm new to the area, my wife and I just moved in, we just wanna meet people. We wanna know the community. I thought that was really cool that we need to continue to go back to that. Today's society, it's all, let's stay in our houses and cell phones and all that crap. But, so my suggestions are what I just,
Okay.
so.
Do we wanna look at the way our ordinance is structured? Cause it says the attorney's supposed to send a letter, that's obviously causing some problems. I mean, you need to look at how, cause it says we have to follow this in that order, that it's supposed to be delivered by the attorney. So we're doing as our rules the same, but maybe it's time we adjust that and do a little bit. But again, because here's the caveat to that. If we don't send that, and someone pushes it, well, I never received my letter from the attorney.
That's correct.
So, you know, you can refuse a certified letter. It just, there's no.
It's a double-edged sword.
It is.
And I agree with that.
People will use that to their advantage. I don't mean that in a harsh way, but sure, we try to have it clear. But when we have that person coming from the attorney, you know, kind of sends that sword, and you know, they can refuse it. I just don't know if the way we have it structured is the most constructive way of doing it. Because we go right to it. And again, I'm not.
Well, we can go through it, Craig, but I think if we hand deliver it, such as we did down on East Van Buren, that would not necessarily have to come from the attorney.
No, and that's fine, as long as we're doing that and just being consistent in what we're doing.
Okay.
And I don't have all the suggestions or answers, I just have suggestions, but Tom, I can give you another one that really irritated Amanda and I was here 2 years ago, or 3 now, Helen, I put the front porch on.
Yeah.
When was it we went to the zoning board? 3 years ago or 2? I don't know. It doesn't matter. So I did the right thing. I had to miss work, had to go to all these boards to get so I could put a nice front porch that my wife wanted on her childhood home. But then I have a couple neighbors, different directions of me, that I drive by, and they have these big, massive sheds. I've got somebody that's got freaking quails that they're raising in their backyard. I was asked to get rid of my chickens, so I did what you guys asked. So when you walk the streets and then you see that, and it's like, I went through all the loopholes and did the right thing, but yet I see these, they just keep on this, nothing's going on. Nothing's happened to them. And then you talk to them like, I don't need no permit. I'm like, yeah, you do. And they're like, no, I don't. Nothing's gonna happen. I'm just gonna keep pounding my nails. You know, obviously I'm not a police officer and I can't tell them that they can't. I'm just suggesting that, hey, you might want to freaking find out if you can do that or not.
Very true, and I agree. There's some things that have slipped by that all at once they're there.
And I know you guys can't police it either. I mean, you guys do the best you can. He's made it very clear he likes to drive around. I just seen this morning at 5:30 drove by my house and I'm thinking, oh great, what's Craig looking at this time?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I got to give him a hard time.
To be quite honest, I'm looking what's in the street. You know, what.
I wave at him more probably than I do anybody, but.
I can tell you the quail thing has been on here, is on here. And I would say that the sheds that's been moved in and things that should have had a permit will probably be caught by the area plan commission, and then.
Hey, I'm not here to complain, I'm just giving you as an outsider, and I'm not the only one. There's other people that have went through the loopholes to do things to make their house look nicer and to do what you guys asked. And then you have your neighbor, whatever direction it is, or across the highway or whatever it is, doing their own thing still. So it is a double-edged sword. I don't have all the answers. I'm willing to work with you as a resident. I help a lot of my neighbors, and they'll tell you that. You know, I'm a one-man guy that's trying to do it all to make everybody happy.
Well, all we're trying to do, you know, as I explained to you, Brad, is help improve the value of your property and your neighbor's property, and like to get these things cleaned up. I know by you and Amanda coming to board meetings that you're interested in Leesburg, and we appreciate you coming and working with us. But we have to, you know, we started with some bigger projects as far as what we started with, and we know there's other things we gotta get moving to, but.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally understand.
Well, and with that, I know last week before the 4th, county assessor was driving through town, up and down the alley, so they're watching too, so they respond, if they see something that wasn't there, they're gonna go check area planning and, which is out of our control.
Right, it is.
They are completely out of our control, but I've noticed them in town quite a bit in the last month and a half.
So not your chickens, but the roosters are gonna come home to roost for those that.
And it also takes time.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I totally understand that. Time is everything, Tom.
You can't do everything at once, but we have lists, and we have things that we didn't have in place 18 months ago.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
But the process is moving, and everyone knows you have to use the process.
Right. Yep. No, you have to go through the chain in order to get there, because otherwise it'll bite you.
John Wayne and his 6-gun is only all happens on television. All right, well, I don't see Amy here anywhere yet. Okay, any other comments?
Just on the abandoned vehicles, I had sent a letter to Nick asking for clarification on some of the wording in, what our ordinance says about attended and not attended, and licensed or registered and not registered, so he's sent me some things on that I want to review with Craig, and we'll look over, you know, I'll share it with you guys.
Has to be plated.
Specifically, it doesn't say whether plated or not plated, it's still in violation. If it hasn't moved in 15 days or is inoperable.
Yeah.
So, I just asking for some clarification. You know, it says attended. Is that just you going in and out of your house and see it every day, so?
Well, then they go into motorized vehicles. Anything that has a motor on it that moves people. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
On land, sea, or air. So, you know, there are pieces of it that work well, and there's some others that just kind of, and that really creates a bit of a problem.
Well, but it's things.
No, it's clear.
A lot of the verbiage, we have spent a lot of years changing the verbiage to match what would apply in today, whatever today is defined as, what year that is. Because quite a few of our ordinances were put in place back in the 30s and 40s and 50s.
Before your time.
Such as cleated track on the street, steel wheels.
Right. You know nothing about that, Tom.
I'm not quite that. I'm not as old as Jerry. Jerry might, but I'm not quite.
Soon I want to know what's wrong with 40 to 50.
Okay.
Well, nothing. But some of the verbiage doesn't apply today.
And your streets look excellent.
They do. Thank you. Yeah, you probably didn't hear some of the comments that was made about it was an expensive month for the town because it was a very expensive month. Fortunately, there was a lot of grant money involved. And the street project, and thanks to Craig's the one that found these people. They're doing work in Warsaw.
I thought it was Rick Ellis.
Well, I know.
He was a consultant.
But it is it looks like it's going to be a very durable and worthwhile product. Much better than just painting the block with some form of liquid. Even though it did add, whether it's a full 3/4 of an inch or 5/8 of an inch, I don't know, and not interested in knowing the exact amount, but it did add some height or depth to the surface of the street.
It turned it into wetter surface.
But yeah.
Makes it rough for my lawnmower to go over.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
set the blade so low.
It is a little higher in the center, isn't it, where they overlap it a little. But, well, and, you know, I think we talked about this last month, it's up to 10 years, and we've got all the paved streets done for a cost of the town of a little over 48,000. Total project was 198,000 and change, so.
Mitch, with that being said, what's going on with whatever happened with the school street? Is that the farthest one to the south?
That
With
is,
the county and you guys have been arguing, but
Disgusting.
discussing, I'll just say.
The county has agreed that it's their street.
Okay.
We had a meeting with them, and, they're coming up with some ideas to take care of that.
Gotcha.
Hopefully we'll have some input on what they end up doing. Of course, you know, we had explained to them that you get it up to par and we'd be interested in taking it over, so.
Right.
Because
I just know for months and months and months, you've been
Yeah.
trying to.
I finally made the right connection at the state that had the right information and we got a hold of.
The only concern I would also have with that, just, hopefully it doesn't make it harder, but you're talking about sidewalk and stuff to the ball diamonds. I don't know how that would interfere with this is ours and this is the county's or something, so something to think about there too.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't hurt us to get.
Well, because of our plans to hopefully eventually have that be our street once it's brought up to being a good quality street, which was the reason why we didn't just take it as it is right now, because we know that it needs quite a bit of work. And since it's officially theirs, they should be the ones fixing it up.
Right.
So,
I didn't
I
know
think we'll be
easements
okay.
and things like that, and if you're trying to put a sidewalk in for us to have a nice pathway, you know, we don't want that to affect us not getting the grants and all that, because I would love to see that. I think that's a big thing. It's nice going outside at this time of night.
when I
and
go
seeing
back
the
to
ball
what
diamonds.
we originally discussed and before we started our project on Van Buren Street, the thing that was at the top of the list was having recreational areas, possibly playgrounds or whatever, and together with that, sidewalks. So, you know, we've just tried as much as we can to do that. The only reason we couldn't do more play areas is just that there's simply no land available to do that. But we do with what we can with what we have, so.
Yeah, along with having this street work done for the next 8-10 years, and that money that we would use for streets can go to something else. So there's opportunities to make improvements in other areas.
And that's good to know, and that goes back to what I was trying to say is, you know, I go out and I'm talking to my neighbors, hey, you guys understand, we got these roads done, it's gonna save us money in the next 2 years, and especially younger couples, there's new people coming in all the time. It makes them go, oh, really, okay, you know, they get excited then, oh, we're gonna save money, but we might have new greenway going to the ball diamond, or to the school, or whatever it may be in the future.
it's not easy to get people involved.
It's not, Tom, you are 100% correct. But if you don't try,
Well,
you're nowhere.
okay, but I see, in my view, we can have that discussion, we try. The door's open, the meetings are announced, there's an announcement, Mike always puts one on the door. I guess we could go put one in the post office. But also, sometimes I'm surprised what people don't know, and they choose not to learn. And we've been part of area plan for more than a year now.
Right.
It's been several years, as a matter of fact. Making references to the storage building. I believe it's 10 by 10. It's 100 square foot. Isn't that the benchmark from area plan?
I can't tell you for sure.
I hate to comment on that now.
Yeah, you're better.
But, again,
Well,
I think,
there's a size
Right.
limitation.
No, I get what
You
you're
don't
saying.
need a permit if you're
Right.
under that size.
Right.
Anything over that, and it's not very big.
No.
Anything over that size, you have to have a permit.
Right.
Swimming pools have to have a permit.
Yep, you are correct.
You would have to be within the setbacks.
And, well, yes, anything, a small size building that doesn't require a permit still has to meet the setbacks. That is correct. But there, again, I don't recall what the dimension is, but it's not very big.
Well, just like I can tell you, my house, they wanted me to stay 25 feet away from the road. That's what the easement says. I said, my house is close enough. Yeah, you're right. I said, all the rest of them, I said, I understand going forward if we were building a new road and you were putting new houses in, but the road's been there before I was even thought of.
Well,
And the house was there before I was even thought of.
But almost every town, including Warsaw in the county, all has some of the same problems with regards to setbacks.
Correct.
Because in 1833, when the town was originally platted, and 1834 for Warsaw, the streets and everything were platted, the lot sizes, so the houses were built accordingly.
Yep.
You can't meet today's setback. Oh, here comes Amy right now.
well, and then also our ordinance, so we don't know what the ordinance are. They're on the website. I mean, you can look on leesburg.com and all the ordinances are on there. Doing it through.
Have to get a speeding ticket to make it over, Amy? We're good, glad to see you here.
Well, go ahead, take a minute, catch your breath, because we're waiting for you.
Oh, there you go.
So,
It's good to be in high demand, right?
whenever you're ready, Amy.
Yeah, so, Zach has shared that, so Zach came this first time doing these projects, and I believe you already know, but just as a point of reference, for that money, the ORI money. So what we're looking at is what you employed Christina to work with me on, which she's a good partner, and we've been walking the journey, and she shared with me that she had a challenge in that journey, which was looking at some of those engineered issues related to how we could most effectively employ that trail in what we had felt would be a good pathway forward. So I feel like this guy, who's probably gonna disagree, is very understated, but I feel like he works miracles, he did some miracles over at Pearson to try to make things happen,
No pressure to put on it.
no pressure. Obviously, no one can do perfect things, but I think that he's got a very, creative mind, and so looking at potentially working with him to see if we can move the conversation forward to potentially engineer or find out what those engineer challenges are related to making that trail happen. I don't know, does Zach share about the timeline related to the potential grant opportunity?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, so there is a once biannually grant opportunity that Zach feels that Leesburg would be most suited for out of all the projects that the county is moving forward with. And so his goal and hope was that we could try to at least have that conversation so that we wouldn't miss that. Any conversation we have does not constitute a contract until you sign something. That's what I said to Christina, I want to keep saying that out loud, is that we haven't signed any contracts, but we are moving forward with the process because I was piqued for Leesburg to miss the opportunity to be a part of this just because we met an obstacle. Obstacles are what I meet every single day. I can tell you on Saturday we celebrated the mural, which I did not think was going to get done. And somehow, by the grace of God, a lot of hard work, some elbow grease, and some praying, we made that happen. And everybody that was there at that meeting or at the celebration said, we did not think this was going to happen. So, not everything perfectly happens, but I do think that you take that necessary next step until you meet a wall that basically hits you so hard in the face that you can't go past it. But this opportunity for the funding that Representative Snow brought into the community and that my boss, Gary Groninger, earmarked is for the small community. And it's a once in a potential lifetime opportunity to have funding that has way less restrictions than some of these others would have. And I just think that if we can take the next step to meet with the folks for the Indiana Trails, like Zach has said, Zach's our partner for that, and then, you know, have a separate meeting with Chad to see officially what that would look like for what we need to do, what the costs associated with that would be. I think those would be some really nice next steps that we could take, if given permission by the town board. And so I believe the meeting with the Indiana Trails would have to be before August 30th.
Right.
And we probably would want to meet with Chad before that, just so we would have relevant information to share when we are talking to the potential grant holders. I believe that grant is 400,000, opportunity for 400,000 there. So. And any costs associated with any engineering done, I confirmed again today, I like to keep asking, with the grant team that I met with today, the individuals that are employing the grant, they did say any costs that are expended by a town that would be towards a project, so it's, you know, costs associated with making a project application happen, could be seen as a match for said grant application. So whatever costs associated would not be wasted, quote unquote, it would be towards that project application. So.
Would it be a good place to start before we get going anyway, is to know if we could run a path across the tracks and along Old 15, as they call it, on either side.
And I think that's where Chad comes in.
That, to me, would be the first thing.
Well, but that's why Christina.
Right. But, and maybe that's something he could look into.
Well, that's why I brought it in.
Before we come back and talk, that way we're just ahead of that, because we are the deadline for August 30th. So, but, yeah, if there's some magic call you make, so what can we put there along 15? That really then determines where we go.
Yeah, because I think
I mean, that's the first thing you gotta do, can we go along?
Yeah, and that's why I said, I think the first meeting is with Chad, just so we can work out those details.
Right.
Because the Indiana Trails folks are going to ask for those details when we meet with them.
Because that could change where we go on the initial meeting.
That's why
The other tiny bit that's there is, you're gonna technically be outside the town limits to get to the school. So that's the other issue there.
Well, and that's a pretty simple fix, because the town, at this time, could go in and push it that way, the town limit. We talked about that.
Annexation.
Just going further south.
Well, and what I have told Christina is that, yes, part of that is out of the town limits, but that is super helpful in the partnership with what the county park board is attempting to accomplish. And so they have that Blue-Way Greenway plan. And so any community that is moving forward with a lot of the specific trails that each of these communities is moving forward with, parts of those are out of their town limits. They are then graciously providing the opportunity for the county to come along and put another grant in at a later time to be able to connect to that said project, because they do have that county Blue-Way Greenway plan that was actually, I believe, approved in May of this year as part of one of my initial grants. So that is actually going to be seen as a partnership with the county park board. Christina did communicate with them. She presented on behalf of Leesburg to that county park board to let them know that Leesburg would like to be a good partner to help to connect to the county park.
Because, you know, we
Or
can
county
go
trails.
across township lot, on the township lot, and cut, so you wouldn't be going in front or off the road.
one of the things that was brought up today, which I'm gonna say this out loud, and I have actually spoken to, is it Bob Bishop? That is he is the president of the township.
Yeah.
So I did speak to him because somebody asked me to introduce myself to him.
Yeah.
One of the things that was brought up is that there is a creative conversation happening in which some of the, for example, over in, Atwood, they have the two separate townships that actually service Atwood. And those two townships are considering putting some of their funds into their projects.
And that's something that's brand new.
Yes.
The county highway is taking collectively 3 accounts from the township, using excess, resources for those, rain day, township, and parks and rec, that is gonna be part of the board and the trustees to put towards a sidewalk project. We're still in, they're still trying to come down with all the rules in Indianapolis, how we're gonna use that.
So the statement that was made today it would be essentially behoove some of these townships to potentially consider putting some of that, instead of that money having to go towards
County roads.
And this, instead of that happening, if that money then could be put towards some of these projects as a support, I'm assuming that the township would more readily want to put that money towards a project that benefits their local area. Nothing against the county park or the county, highway, but it would be nice if that money could then be spent. If the state government is going to require that they spend that money on something, it would be nice if that money could be spent on something that would benefit Leesburg or surrounding area versus. We
had a meeting last Wednesday, the trustees did, getting clarity on what we can do with that. And the hope is, and we did get, they're gonna confirm all this, that we will be able to take that money that they were thinking they were going to direct to the county to use for roads, that we could, and again, we're basing this on clarity, that we can take, I think, 10% of each one of those funds and put it towards sidewalks or a project like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in our position in Plain Township, of those 3 funds, it would amount to a little south of $200,000. So
a nice support to the
and
project.
that can pair up perfectly with your cash in first that you're speaking of these projects. But again, we don't have legal clarity yet on that. But
yeah, and that's like down the road, because, we hope, just similar to Atwood, in speaking about that project, but by the time that Atwood, they have put their letter of intent in, Atwood does not rest on their laurels. I figured out Atwood has already put in their letter of intent that they intend to apply for a project, as they're having the conversations with their 2 townships, as well as also having conversations with the others to try to put that capital stack together and get the engineering done that they need for their pavilion. So there's some very, I think, hefty and lovely conversations, but it's gonna take those different pieces to come together. But it's not anything that we haven't dealt with. It's not anything you guys haven't dealt with. I think it's just recognizing that we take whatever that next logical step is. We don't let, not knowing how to get past the railroad be an obstacle. We creatively figure that out, and then once we do that, we take the next step, hopefully that's before August 30th, so we can meet the expectations and deadlines. And then any money that the township then determines that they can put towards this is then a match, which helps to make the pot, because you can put up to $500,000 into that. And if you could get to that amount, that'd be a lovely project that you could move forward with. So, and any money that we need for engineering, that can be part of the match as well. So, none of this is impossible. It's just not allowing a little small obstacle to get in the way to what can be really. Not unless the whole universe slams the door in the face and says this is not going to work, which I don't think we're at that spot yet. I think we just need to take the next logical step if given permission by the town board.
that's why we all meet in this room.
Yeah. To make magic happen, right, Tom? and to talk about the hard things.
Yeah. Yes. Any other conversation regarding Amy?
Not right now, but we'll just continue to follow forward on this to see what we can do.
do we have permission, Tom, then to have a separate conversation with Chad, is that?
Yes, Christina and Chad and Craig,
And myself?
and you will be having more than one meeting in the very near future.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure we're clear on that, so I don't get Chad in trouble or myself in trouble. I don't want the doors to be slammed in my face if I come back here and we did something we weren't supposed to.
Any other comments?
Do you have to do some recreational thing to take sidewalk work? I mean, put them together, or can you just have the sidewalks done?
No, there really isn't.
Well, I'm gonna let Amy answer that.
Yeah, Mitch, I got a question from Mitch for that very thing. That was what actually started this conversation. And so, for whatever reason, the state government does not provide, there are not many options provided for just sidewalks by itself. So, for CCMG, which I just heard was somewhat on hold at the moment, they will provide sidewalk work only if you have a road associated with it. So that's the CCMG, so that's the Indiana Department of Transportation, and then the other only option often to do sidewalk work is associated with a sidewalk that is then also seen as a trail. So if you can make a sidewalk, a case that the sidewalk is a trail, then often these other agencies, like the Indiana Trails, next level got zeroed out, but Indiana Trails or K-21, which you did have that partnership with K-21, will then also give funding. Other than that, there are currently no grants or money provided to do sidewalk work. They don't see that as a necessity for whatever reason.
They're not too smart, are they?
I asked them to
Put that in there.
You want that to be public record?
It is, the camera's on.
You know, I think that is the hardest thing, because I do see sidewalks as an essential, but I think it probably would also be very difficult for 92 counties with all these small communities, if you're providing funding for every single one of them for all the sidewalks. I think that could become a nightmare, so we have to make some rules and make unfortunate.
The sidewalk has to be for something, going to something.
Yes, and it can be seen as part of a, road project.
Yes.
And then, or an exercise activity. And those two are the only cases in which we can move forward. So we can be creative and get sidewalks done, and then also provide exercise for those who want exercise or have time.
Thank you, Amy. Any other further questions?
Oh, we're good.
If not, our continuous public comments: no parking on any street between 3 and 5 a.m. every day. No burning anything anytime. Please be mindful of what you flush. And our next meeting is August the 11th at 6:30 p.m. in this room. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
The motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tom.
Yep.
What time is the luncheon thing tomorrow?
It is at 11.
Okay, I'll be
Right.
there.
I explained to one of my neighbors that's lived as a neighbor for 10 years, maybe going on 15, I'm not real sure,
Time goes quick, don't it?
about no burning.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, we've got a few of them, I don't know, the other night, it's been a little bit longer than the other night, but I don't know all my streets, but over to the, towards your direction, over behind the mill, somebody was burning, freaking, they had a fire going that was big as a car.
Yeah.
That's probably maybe a month now, I don't know, time goes faster than what I think.
And those are really interesting in the morning smoke.
Well, yeah, but when it's like this time and you look over and see flames, you're like, holy crap, what are they doing? Somebody on the backside of Ralph's
Well,
property.
one person's fire, somebody
Well,
else's
they're pretty regular.
respiratory problem.
If it's persistent, I just kind of know that, hey, there's a rule. If it's doing good, you can see it so far.
Yeah, I fire.
No, and that's,
I don't wanna
But
bring
you
it
can
up.
have a campfire.
Reoccurring
You can have a
problem, but-
campfire.
Yeah, I'll leave that.
Saturday night and